What's up, co-reporters? Welcome back to my channel. It's time for a recap of episodes 7, 8, and 9 from Love is Blind UK. Listen, normally I do like episode by episode, but we got to wrap this thing up, y'all. I'm about to leave for Toronto for the weekend. I just want to get this all done. Now, okay, if you ain't no punk, holla, we want prenup was the theme of this recap. Freddie really surprised me when he put it out on the table that he wants to ask his future wife, Catherine, to sign a prenup before they get married. Listen, I actually think it's a really, really good idea to have a prenup before you get married, especially if you're going to get married under these sorts of circumstances. But the prenup that Freddie was proposing to Catherine, in my opinion, a major, major load of crap. We'll get into that later on in this recap, but let's just start. I believe that was episode 8. So let's start off with episode 7, shall we? Kat and Freddie, they are out shopping for some clothes for Kat, and Freddie is just, being silly and stuff, making jokes about certain things because there were some really ugly clothes there, and he was just like, being silly about it, and she was being very irritated. And I think it still stems back from when he mentioned that he had cheated on a past girlfriend, and I think that gave Kat the ick towards him. Now, we've got Jasmine talking to Bobby about like her jealousy issues in a relationship, which I thought was a very important conversation to have. I think like it's totally normal to have that, especially if you've got the kind of past that Jasmine has where you've been like, repeatedly cheated on in your past. And a lot of people try to, in the name of toxic positivity and like trying to be completely green flaggish, which I feel like is very rare. A lot of people pretend that they don't have any kind of jealousy or whatever. So it was nice to see her be very open about that. So Bobby, by the way, little did I know, he used to be a video vixen. So he goes ahead and shows his fiance some of his moves that he was doing in a music video that he was modeling in back in the day. And Ollie, meanwhile, he gets to meet Demi's friends and they prepare vegan nachos. And the entire time that they were preparing vegan nachos, I was like, now who is eating vegan nachos? Who are these for? Because I don't think Demi's a vegan. I didn't think Ollie was a vegan. I was like, are her friends vegans? Like, where is this coming from? But come to find out, Ollie is the vegan. They open up to their friends about the love triangle that was going on between them and Catherine, and they seem very understanding of it all. And her friends actually rubber stamp their approval on Ollie. And he says like, this went really well. And I feel closer to Demi as a result of it. And I think that must have felt amazing for him, like genuinely, after the way that he was accosted by Jasmine while they were on that couple's honeymoon trip. And so I was really happy to see that they are making progress in their relationship away from the judgmental eyes of their Love is Blind co-stars. Sometimes it's not you, but it's the people that you're surrounding yourself with. So always make sure to protect your relationships, people. Now, Freddie shows Catherine his home, and it's absolutely gorgeous, but Catherine kind of like acts a little like weird and negative towards it. She almost kind of reminded me of that girl from Love is Blind US season 1. Do you remember Amber, who was like homeless and she was dating Barnett or engaged to Barnett, and she goes to his house. She's like, it's so little, girl. You'd know, where's your house? Take us to your house, She kind of reminded me of that. And I think it's a similar case where Catherine doesn't even live on her own. She lives under her parents' roof, out here giggling about this man's house that he owns. I don't know why the girls are like that sometimes. Like, they don't have a pot to piss in, but they are ready to judge everybody else's like places. By the way, though, maybe this is what was tickling her so much. His home, in my opinion, this home was decorated by a woman or an effeminate man or a man, because, a man who might potentially love other men. I'm not saying that that's Freddie. Maybe he has a friend in that community, because there were a lot of glitter, sparkles, and crystal knobs to his like bedside tables and stuff like that. I did find that to be rather interesting. Now, while they're at this, glittery purple home, she apologizes for being rude towards him, like, in some of the other interactions that they were having. And he's like, no, you don't need to apologize, but I accept your apology. I'm like, Freddie, yes, Kat does need to apologize. In a relationship, when someone is realizing or noticing that they're treating you wrong, they should apologize to you, and you deserve the apology. I need you to understand that you deserve it, because I'm scared that he's one of those people where like they accept a bunch of stuff that like they don't really like within this relationship. and then they snap and explode, and their partner didn't even know that they were pissed off, because this whole time they were playing cool, calm, and collected when they were really genuinely hurt and stewing over these things, right? Now, Tom and Maria, like, it's about time that they're about to go meet her family. And so they talk about how everything's going to go down. And they discuss the importance of her culture and her religion. And he asked whether or not she thinks that her dad would have liked him. And that was a very emotional question for Maria, which I definitely understand. And I believe she thinks that her dad would have liked Tom. Now, Freddie then shows Catherine what he wears when he's out here directing funerals. And I'm sorry, y'all, but Freddie was looking really good. I just can't imagine going to a funeral for someone just crying, 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 and then peeking at the corner of my eye, like checking out that funeral director, you know? Like, that's what I would be like, you know? Like, oh my God, like my kid, my dog was such a nice dog. Almost as nice as your biceps. What are you doing after this? He was looking good, man. He can embalm me anytime. Now, back in Ollie and Demi's world, Ollie opens up to Demi about getting overwhelmed easily and having ADHD. And he says that it's very difficult for him to open up about this. And she's one of only like 3 people who know. And then, you know, I've never heard about ADHD being discussed on like the show in any franchise that I watch anyway. I watch US, Brazil, and now UK. And I was watching Mexico, but I was kind of disappointed by their casting choice. So I haven't heard this being discussed anywhere else. And I was really proud of Ollie for opening up about that. I don't think there's any shame in having ADHD, especially, I guess maybe like on the Europe side of things. It's not really seen the same way as it is in the US and Canada. In the US and Canada, they are popping those Adderalls, those, what's the other thing? I forgot what the other thing's called. They are like handing them out like candy to children even. But in Europe and in the UK, it's not really the same way, you know? So maybe that's why he feels like, you know, he's approaching it in such a different, you know, like a shame kind of thing. But I liked it. Listen, I'm in the process of trying to get diagnosed or potentially examined for ADD or ADHD. I don't know which one. And so it was nice to see someone opening up about their struggles with it. Now, back to Kat and Fred. They meet up with Freddie's family, and his family is just absolutely darling. Very beautiful, very sweet family. And Freddie's mom opens up about how, like, you would think he is a player from the Himalayas. But let me tell you, my son is so faithful. And Kat let out a little snicker. I can't lie, I snickered too. Like, you know, listen, I'm sure he didn't tell his mom that he's a trifling man out here cheating on women. And I wouldn't be surprised if it was more than one woman. But yeah, Kat and Freddie kind of exchanged knowing glances because, like, they don't want to burst their mom's bubble when it comes to her golden boy, right? And Freddie tells his sister that he sometimes doesn't feel good enough for Kat. And the sister's like, well, is Kat good enough for you? Ooh, gagged a little bit. And Fred also asked his brother if he would like to be his best man at his wedding. And it was very, very sweet. Remember, Freddie has a brother with Down syndrome, and Kat, she like, outside of being a dental assistant, she like coaches kids with Down syndrome on how to swim. So that was a really beautiful connection between the two of them and something that was lovely to see on TV. Now, Tom meets with Maria's family. There was nothing really all that eventful about it, to be honest with you. They seemed to like him enough. Her sister was crying when she was talking about their father and how he won't be there for the wedding. And then Tom asks her mom for her blessing if they were to actually marry, and her mom gives it to him. And then lastly, we get to see like the beginnings of Ben going over to meet Nicole's family. And I gotta say, her parents are adorable, very joyous, lovely, lovely, lovely individuals. So you guys, that was a recap of Love is Blind, episode 7. It's time to switch gears and head into episode 8, which I believe is the episode where we hear about that godforsaken prenup. Dun, 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 dun. Now, after the wonderful meeting between Ben and Nicole's like lovely, joyous parents, they're left alone, and she tells Ben that she wants to return the bracelet Sam gave her and the engagement ring that Sam gave her, because like that chapter of her life is over, and in giving this back, she will get like a certain level of closure and finality to that. Ben is very upset about this. He does not want Nicole around Sam at all, because he knows that Sam is a terrible person and a manipulative person who can really get into Nicole's head. And I totally understand where he's coming from. And he's like, this man has disrespected you so much. Like, why do you want to go meet him face to face, like, and get closure? For what? For disrespect? Please, girl. And then he starts crying, and I was like, oh, like he's so emotional, and I find it so cute. Now, Tom's mom, by the way, you guys, we find out like after he met up already with Maria's family, like it's time for his family to be shown, but his mom does not want to participate in the show. She does not support the fact that he met Maria through the show. And she also will not be attending the wedding. And this is a huge devastation to him because she is the most important person in his life. And like, I kind of feel like he's going to use her as an excuse to say no to Maria. Although I do feel like he was already like, negging her back in episode 6. So I feel like this is just going to add to all of that drama, you guys. I got to say, I did call it from the beginning that cultural differences would play a role in the demise of his relationship with Maria. So apparently on their first date, like as like an engaged couple, they went out to brunch or something like that, or to like some kind of a snack. And Maria, girl, why did you even do this? She offered to pay. And instead of like insisting to pay, he said, okay. Girl, you're too, and I don't mean this in a derogatory way, but you're too old to be playing these games, Like, okay, when you're in your teens, when you're in your 20s, you play these cutesy games, but when you're in your 30s, you know what you want. Like, just don't offer. Just don't offer. You go out for your ice cream and you take your little ice cream cone and you say, thank you so much for this ice cream. Why would you offer if you did not want to pay, right? Especially with a man from the UK. That's like doing that to a man from Germany, a man from Spain, a man from France, like these kind of cultures where like the guys these days are a little bit like, away from like the traditional gentlemanly kind of like way, like doing that with a Dutch man kind of thing, so that starts to cause tension in their relationships. I understand where they are both coming from because Tom, with his culture, right, like they're not really, you know what I mean? Like it's not the norm anymore to be like paying for, your woman in the courtship phase even. Right. And then Maria in her culture, it is the norm, right? So she's got the ick that this man is not offering to pay. But girl, you offered to pay. So he thought you were trying to be modern or something and to adapt to his culture. I don't know. But that's why you don't play these kinds of games. You just don't offer, girl. You don't. You thank them. And and then maybe he'll tell you to split it or he'll ask you to pay for it. And then you know what kind of man you have and you move accordingly, right? And the way that he acted, like she expects a man to pay for everything in the relationship when she just wanted one ice cream. Dude, it costs two pounds. I can send you £2 by the post if it's such a big issue for you to pay £2 for your woman to have an ice cream. You know what I mean? But here's the thing, like I knew he was going to be stingy when he was like scoffing at the idea of the mother of his child who's recovering from pregnancy, who's recovering from childbirth, who's recovering from all of the hormones, in her body, to stay home for even a year with their children. I said, girl, that is not the man for you. That's stingy man. And he goes, I want to stay home. From what? Were you pregnant? Did you push out a watermelon through your pinhole? Do you have all the postpartum hormones? Please. Now let's go back to Catherine and Frankie. So Catherine starts talking to somebody about how Frankie's immaturity is making it really difficult for her to be attracted to him. And, all of those like kind of cracks in their relationships are starting to come through. It seems like she's like for a while, I think even like from their first day together, like she was more interested in getting with Ollie than she was in nurturing her relationship with Frankie. And she's been looking for excuses to like get away from, why do I keep calling him Frankie? Am I okay? His name is Freddie. So it seems like she's been looking for excuses to like break it off with him. And I feel like that's also why she asked the cheating thing so that she could use that as an excuse. He cheated 10 years ago. I can't marry him type of stuff, Now, meanwhile, it's time for all of the couples to meet up together and everything like that. And then Tom, who is currently engaged to Maria, he tells Ben that he is really looking forward to meeting Tash. So Natasha who otherwise goes as Tash, was another girl that he had matched with in the pods, and they were like really, really like, neck and neck with Maria before he ultimately turned his attention towards Maria. So like, I get why he would be interested in seeing how that goes. And you can tell though that like he is starting to like lose it for Maria because he goes, yeah, my relationships are my emotions right now are a little bit complicated in my relationship. So I'm looking forward to meeting Tosh. Like, oh, you're going to use her as your escape plan? Is that what that is? Anyway, the rest of the pod squad then joins the mixer, and there's this guy called Aaron, and I didn't like him at all. I felt like he was a toxic like friend. So he is Ollie's friend. And he basically, in my opinion, kept on trying to get Ollie to cheat on Demi or to leave Demi for that like really pretty girl. There's this really, really pretty girl that was obviously attractive to Ollie and was attractive to Freddie as well. You guys let me know her name in the comment section. And he's like, oh, like, look, like, you know, your connection, it's missing some stuff. Don't you think? Don't you think? Oh, look at this pretty girl. And I was like, that is a toxic friend who will keep you single, because you know what might happen to Ollie? He'll leave Demi and that girl won't want him either. Then what? Ollie's got nothing. With friends like those, who needs enemies? Step aside, Aaron. Now, Sam, by the way, like he appears, God, here he comes, cannot stand him. And he immediately starts trying to like pull Benaya to the side to have a conversation with him about like Nicole and everything. But Ben is just not having it. He does not want to talk to toxic, fake Sam. And I love that. I also noticed that nobody really wanted to talk to Sam. Like, did you guys realize that throughout the mixer, he was kind of like just standing around, like for like, you know, just loitering alone. Like, yeah, that says a lot about him that nobody's like excited to see him. Kat, by the way, seems to be the only person who has any kind of interest in toxic Sam. So she goes to her fiance. He is the spitting image of my ex. Wow, I can't stop looking at him. Girl, not you being trifling again. This girl is such a mess. I think she's like attention starved. She likes to rile people up in order to get some kind of attention. Like she doesn't care what type of attention she's getting. Any kind of attention is good enough for her, you know, and I find that to be very, very sad for her. Now, meanwhile, Nicole and Sam then decide to go ahead and step aside, you know, after that very cringeworthy proposal and engagement and all that nonsense. They go step aside and talk about how he, and yeah, it seems like he is trying to make her go back on her decision to leave him. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, he's like, yeah, like you wanted to be intimate with me. I said, no, I'm so proud of myself for being a gentleman. It's like, that had nothing to do with like their conversation. Like he just really wanted to get that out there that like someone was attracted to him. I'm telling you guys, this man's self-esteem is in the gutter. It might be even underneath the gutter. Like it's in the earth's crust. That's how low it is. He is so desperate for validation. So freakishly desperate, and it is sad, you guys. It truly, truly is. Anyway, Nicole decides to give him back the bracelet, you know, and the ring, and to fully close that chapter. He wanted her to keep the jewelry. She said, no, I'm closing this chapter, so you keep them. And then they hug and leave on good terms. And then she goes back to her fiance, Ben, and she tells Ben like about everything that happened. And that like, you know, her feelings for Sam were real, but that it's over now. And Ben is like, what don't you understand, Nicole? It wasn't real. Sam is not a real person. Sam is fake. He is putting on a performance. He is here for fame. He doesn't actually like you. He was talking garbage about you behind your back. And at this point, I'm starting to worry that our girl Nicole is a little slow, because not only did she get engaged to him against her own instinct, against the warning of 2 other people, but she's still out here thinking that this man was genuinely in love with her and that their connection was real. Baby, we need to get you back in school, because obviously, you know, you were dropped on your head somewhere. The elevator's not going to the top floor, honey. So let's get back to someone else who also is a little bit of a troublesome one. Let's talk about Kat, okay, you guys? So at this point, Kat decides to stir up some trouble in her engagement by going on over to Sam after picking a fight with Freddie. And so she starts flirting with Sam in front of her fiance, Freddie, after telling her fiance that Sam is a spitting image of her ex, which obviously means that she is attracted to Sam in some capacity. This woman is disrespectful, and I'm putting that word in caps lock letters. Her thirst, her desperation for validation. In fact, you know what? I actually wish that she wound up with Sam, because in my opinion, they are one in the same, and they truly, truly deserve each other. They do. Okay, you guys? So she's like, oh, and so Sam shows her, she's like, what's in the box? You know what's in the box, girl. You know what's in the box. So Sam is like, it's the engagement ring that I gave to Nicole, and it's a bracelet that I had given to her. And so she's like, can I see that? And so he shows her. She's like, oh, can I have that ring? Like, you know, this was the ring I wanted. So she's dissing the ring that her fiance chose for her. And she's asking another man for the engagement ring that he gave to another woman. Catherine, you dirty hamster. Like, what kind of behavior is this? Pooja, what is this behavior? Like, that is such weirdo behavior, girl. Like, what? Oh my God. And then to make matters worse, she's like basically asking this guy out. She's like, oh, so like you're in London? I don't see you around, but like, you know, hopefully now like I'll see you around in London, girl. And you're mad at this guy because he cheated at someone in his past. And here you are, arguably ramping up to have an emotional affair on him, right? Oh my God. You know what? Now I'm down for that bogus prenup that Sam is about to propose to her. I mean, that Freddie's about to propose to her. My goodness gracious. Anyway, speaking of trifling, here comes Tom, who likes to neg his fiance. He finally gets to meet the runner-up for his, you know, mayo sandwich affections, Natasha. One thing about Natasha is she really likes to wear this blue color, but it does not suit her at all. Like, I think she's a pretty girl and everything, but like, I'm really into color theory and colors that like complement your skin tone. This blue is very harsh against her. She's very pale. And then she's got this icy blonde, like almost silver hair. And then she's wearing this harsh blue. I think like a softer, like a Tiffany blue would suit her really well. But this blue is just not it for it. In fact, I actually even think like this kind of an orange would look good for her, or like a yellow or something. But these harsh colors are not doing her any favors. But guess what? Tom loves it on her. Tom is so wildly attracted to her. He just kept on looking over at her the entire night, like trying to get a peek. He talks to her and everything like that. Yeah, like, and he looked much happier in 5 seconds of conversation with Natasha than he did with Maria ever since the reveal. You can tell he was wildly attracted to Maria during the reveal, but ever since, it's just not a match. Maria wants like a traditional man, and Tom wants like a 50-50, you stay home, baby. I will go back to work in my postpartum diapers and let you be my princess type of girl. And, you know, perhaps Natasha can be that for him. I don't know, but it's not looking good. And it's just so interesting that like Tom was like, kind of like letting us know low key that the reason that he chose Maria over Natasha was because of Maria's profession, right? He's like, oh, Natasha, I was not expecting you to look like this, girl. I thought you were a nerd, you know, just based on conversations we were having. So here you are in one episode talking about Maria. I thought you would be shallow because you were a makeup artist. And you were being shallow to this girl because you thought she was a nerd based on her profession and based on like her interests. So you want a pretty girl. You want a girl that makes you look good, that makes you look fly. But you don't wanna treat her like a pretty girl, like a princess, like nothing. Ugh, can't. I'm sorry, but Tom gives me the ick. Again, I do not understand how two women were interested in this man because he is just not it, in my opinion. And then Natasha, girl, I liked you up until this moment when you told that man, that dusty man, that you were in love with him. Girl, he's engaged now. Let it go. Do not do it. Don't do it. Ugh. Sometimes people on the show can just be so trifling. You like them so much, and then they go ahead and they thirst after like raggedy people like this. Like, you're really going to go behind another girl's back to try and get this guy? At least try and score like a Freddie. Try and score a Steven. Try and score Bobby. Try and score Benaya. But to score stingy Tom, girl, you're about to play yourself. You can pull much better, girl, and I just know it. Anyway, speaking of Benaya, here he comes. He's finally ready to confront, you know, trifling Sam, and he really let Sam have it. He let Sam know that he thinks he's a fake. He thinks he only did this show for exposure, and that, like, you know, he just does not like him. And I just love how hard he rides for his girl, Nicole. Like, he really is about his women, and that's the type of man I love, right? And at that point, Sam, you know, being the dirty little hamster that he is, he's like, well, did you know that your girl tried to get intimate with me? And I said, no. Sam, no one believes anything you say because you're a liar, you're a weirdo, you're pathological, and we all think you have a personality disorder, some sort of a antisocial personality disorder, because this is just weird behavior. And you're out here claiming to be in love with this girl. Meanwhile, you've been trying to humiliate her and talking about her intimate life now. How many times in the span of 2 seconds? You're weird. You're mean. You're creepy. get off my screen. And I hope that they tear him a new one at the reunion. Thank God this mixer is over, you guys, because I cannot take any more toxicity. Now, well, actually a little more, but just in a different setting. So it's the next day, you guys, okay? And it's time for Tom and Maria to have like a conversation. And Tom tells Maria about how Tasha told him that she was still in love with him. And obviously Maria was pissed. I would be seeing red. I would be ready to call up that girl and chew her ear out over the phone, you know, because that is just such, you know, thirsty ass behavior. Now, meanwhile, we get to meet Demi's family, you know, alongside Ollie. And Demi's got a lovely family as well. Super, super beautiful people, super happy people. Her dad at first is a little bit standoffish towards Ollie, and it's mainly because he just wants to observe him and everything like that and just see what he's like with his daughter. And I imagine, just based on how sad Demi always seems, that she's been through a lot, especially with men. And so her dad is super protective, which I love and I understand. But eventually he opens up and they have a really, really good time. And like, he just really like wants for her to be treated well and to be loved properly. And I really hope that Ollie is the guy to do that for her. But I don't know about him, you guys. Like, I'm still like, I'm neutral. I can't say that I see him like negatively, his intentions, but I can't also say that I see them positively. You know what I mean? I just feel like something's off with him. I also wonder if he's on medication for his ADHD, because I think that that might help him a lot, you know, in managing his life and in managing his like love life as well, you know. And so, you know, something that was so like, it almost made me cry too, was how much like Demi's dad cried at the end. He just wants her to like be okay. And it's like, God, like now I want her to be okay too. Like, damn. Everybody like around her, even the like castmates of the show, are like letting us know that like Demi's a very fragile person, you know, like you really have to treat her with care. And so Ollie, if you hurt even 1 ounce of this girl, I am gonna come find you. I might be on vacation in Canada now, but trust and believe, when I get back to Paris, I'm only 2 hours away from you, and I will whoop that ass. So now we get to continue on with meeting the families. Next up is Sabrina's family. We meet her mom, sister, and besties. And like at first, it starts off a little awkward, but they eventually just go ahead and give their stamp of approval too. And I'm super happy about that. And then we start getting into Freddie sticking up for himself against Catherine's nasty, nasty, nasty attitude. And I was really proud of him. I'm like, yeah, good. Like, stop doing this, you know, accepting this nonsense. And so when he like tells her, listen, Kat, like, I really am not feeling the way you speak to me. Like, this is not going to continue. She's like, well, this is because I'm adopted, and I was always bullied for being adopted. And so I had to stand up for myself and have like a peppy person or like a biting personality or whatever. It's like, no, girl, like you're now how old, you know, this stuff happened. It's sad, but like what you've got to do is work on it. You are too old to be using this as an excuse. Go get help. Let's get you counseling, you know, but you're not about to play with me. So thank God for that. And then he proposes that they have a prenup. Again, guys, I am pro prenup. I have considered getting a prenup, you know what I mean, as well, myself. But the prenup that Freddie had proposed to Kat, in my opinion, is BS, because he wants for his sister to inherit everything, basically, from him if he were to pass away. So I'm here like, are you going to, when you get married, Freddie, are you making an oath? Are you taking vows to provide and protect your sister, or to provide and protect for your wife and the family you're going to create with your wife? Leaving everything to your sister is insane. It really, really is. Because who's going to be the one there for you when you're in sickness, right? Who's going to be the one who might potentially have to move for you, this, that, and the other, you know? It's your wife. Who's going to be the one that might have to take some time away from her career, you know, with pregnancies and childbirth and childbearing? It's your wife. So the idea that she would lose all of that to your sister, get the heck out of here. To me, a prenup is like, okay, we both leave with what we came with, like as a base, but then everything we accumulate in the marriage is split 50-50. Or I'm going to have this business and then you get a portion of it. Or I'm agreeing for this, that, and the other. Like, it's something between you two. It's not, oh, let's get married together and like, let's split our resources and our emotional and our labor in the household just for me to give everything to my sister. No, I would have laughed in his freaking face, because that is complete and utter BS. If you want to leave everything to your sister, Freddie, go ahead and marry her. Go ahead and marry her because this is just ridiculous. My God. Anyway, guys, before I blew a gasket, it's time to get into the recap of episode 9, the final episode of the drop before we get to the weddings. So at this point, we're actually going to see what everybody like kind of chooses as their wedding dresses. Excuse me a second while I queue up those images. I actually found a website from like the bridal place that was like kind of sponsoring the thing. So I will be showing you guys everything from there, okay? But episode 9, it kicks off, you know, with us talking to Nicole. And I'm, you know, at this point, I'm starting to wonder, like, this girl's hair is just so beautiful. It always looks so, like, soft and fluffy every episode. What is my girl doing with her hair to get it to look that way? I don't really wear straight hair unless it's, like, you know, like, once in a blue moon. But, like, she makes it look so good. And it's not even bone straight. It's, like, textured and nice and fluffy, you know? Really, really, truly love it. If any of you guys know, is it like a micro links or something like that? I don't know, but I want to know because she's kind of like low key making me want to have some like, you know, straight kind of voluminous hair. Now, and I also want to point out that I love how international the UK version is. And that's one thing I love about like Europe in general. Like, so for example, these people are like England based, right? And then you've got like Sabrina who's coming from Ireland. So we went to Ireland to visit her family. And then we find out that Ben's family is living in Germany, and he had gone to Germany after Nicole initially dumped him and everything. And then they went on a vacation in Greece, and all of this is just a hop, skip, and away. It sounds so like, wow, you know, to like your average person who's not living on that side of the world, but like it's just nothing over there. And that's just something that I profoundly love about it. So anyway, his mom and sister come over to his home with Nicole to talk about their relationship, and then we get to see like how they feel about it in general. And the mom just describes how big of a wreck Benaiah was when he went home after Nicole had initially dumped him. Hang on, you guys. I don't know what is happening with mom. And honestly, guys, the way that Benaiah's mom was like describing him like at home, crying, screaming, throwing up because he was dumped by a girl that he had spoken to for a couple weeks. And as she's recounting this dramatic ass story, she's on the verge of tears too. I was like, oh my God, this family is just so dramatic. Like, calm down, okay? Meanwhile, let's go back to Catherine and Freddie and their relationship, shall we? So in this relationship, they go ahead and meet up with Catherine's friends. And he talks about being worried that Catherine's too bougie because of the places that she frequents and how he probably cannot keep up with her lifestyle. And I'm like, well, listen, it is easy to have this kind of a lifestyle that Catherine has when you are not paying bills. Your parents are paying your bills, you know, and you've got a full-blown career and stuff like that. So don't feel too bad about it. And so I guess maybe that's why he wants to prenup. He feels like she might be a little bit frivolous when it comes to money, and that she's like more like, you know, keeping up appearances and wanting to be like amongst like rich people who like she can't like actually keep up with, right? And at this point, she gets really mad at him for bringing this up because, and I think it's starting to be like something that like triggers her because remember, like this is something that Ollie had said too. He was like talking about how she goes to like this club where he knows like it's for like rich guys and hot girls kind of thing. And so maybe she's like starting to worry about the way she's starting to look, like a bottle chaser or something like that. You know, I'm not accusing her of being that, but I think that she's kind of like, you know, concerned about that. Then her friends then learn about the prenup after Freddie goes away to excuse himself after she berates him. And they're not fans of it at all. They're like, yo, is he controlling or something? Like, I don't like that. Like, honestly, I don't think this marriage is going to work. So honestly, I'm with her friends. Like, the prenup is okay, right? I am pro prenup. I just do not like Freddie's prenup. Like, I don't think it's a good, fair prenup for his future wife, right? And so if I were a friend, if one of my friends came to me and said that their fiance asked them for a prenup where like they don't get anything and their sister gets everything, I would say the same thing. Like, no, there's something off. Like, I wouldn't be, you know, thrilled about my friend marrying this kind of a guy. Now, let's go over to Benaiah and his dramatic ass family, shall we? His sister tells Jasmine that she really likes her and has a good feeling about her and their relationship. And she also likes that Nicole understands Ben's nomadic lifestyle because a lot of exes in the past have tried to change him and get him to settle down. But Nicole's kind of down for the ride. So that's kind of cool to them. Meanwhile, Jasmine's mom, oh my God, you guys, like, Let me take a breath before I get into what it was like for Bobby to meet Jasmine's mom, because Jasmine's mom, you guys, is hell on wheels. She means well, but she's a lot. She's too much even. And like it's kind of toxic the way that she is with Jasmine, you guys. Like Jasmine talks about how like when she was young, her mom would go through her phone and like, if she would call every contact, and if a boy would pick up, she would block the number, let them know never to contact Jasmine again. I was like, ooh, Lord, let me tell you, my parents did not go through my stuff, but I remember there's this like guy in my school. I think he was autistic or something. And like I was really nice to him in the halls. Like I would talk to him and stuff, like I try to be nice to everybody. And he once, because I live my family's house was right across the street from the school, so everyone knew where I lived. So he once came, because again, remember, once came to like say hi to me, like just hi Grace, because that's just that was pretty much the extent of our conversation. Hi Grace, hi, and I forget his name, but it's like hi, how are you? Good, how are you? Good, and then we go about our day. So I guess he wanted to pop up at my house and say hello, and my dad was at the door and he was screaming at that kid. I was like, Dad, stop! He's like, don't ever come here again. So like I get it. Although I didn't have the intrusive go through my phone kind of thing that Jasmine went through, thank God. Now, in tandem, we get kind of like the scene of Tom introducing Maria to his sisters. So like, although his mom's not participating, at least his sisters are. And then we find out about the culture crash. Like culture keeps on popping up between the two of them, and I don't even think it's necessarily a cultural thing. I think it's just like a taste thing. Like I think there's women of all cultures who want like a man to pay for a damn $2 ice cream, like I don't think it's cultural really, but okay. So they bring it up again, and honestly I'm kind of over discussing it, to be quite real with you guys. And then we also talk about how he wants her to pitch in on his mortgage, and she's like, I'm not going to pitch in on someone else's mortgage. Like, so like, maybe that's where you can kind of like, ask for like, hey, can I buy into your mortgage? Like if we're going to live together, like I would like to put in equity in the house. And then when I start paying, like it's fair for the both of us, you know what I mean? Or like, or something else, because I also feel like by virtue of having kids, this, that, and the other, which is something that is just, priceless, right? Maybe that can like factor in, like, if I'm going to be like having our kids, if I'm going to be like, helping to raise our family and stuff, like, dude, I gotta have my name on something. But here's the thing, like, if you're married anyway, like, you don't even have to like, it's, and if you're married and you get divorced, like, you're still going to have a stake in it, whether or not you're paying into it or not. You know what I mean, Maria? So I don't know. Honestly, like, I feel like she's going to catch a lot of heat from the stingy men and the like 50-50 girlies. So I hope she's bracing herself for all that feedback on her socials. Now Freddie then goes ahead and he gets to finally meet Kat's parents. Remember, Kat's adopted, but listen, her parents to me look so similar to her. Like I would have never imagined she was adopted if she didn't say anything. So I guess I'm thinking about the story she was talking about, being bullied throughout her childhood for being adopted and stuff. I'm like, people are so like weird. Even if she did look different, like what is there to bully about that? Like just weird. Kids are weird. So anyway, I will say that I really love like Kat's parents. I think they're very nice, soft, gentle people. And I also like how at the end, her dad, like in his like head to head with Freddie, took the opportunity to ask him how he felt about the family. Because until now, it's always the family's kind of like, like, hey, like, do I approve of you or not? But the family's like, well, do you approve of us? Do you want to join us? Like they're really, really kind-hearted people. And he also like asked Freddie like how he was feeling in his heart and all sorts of things. Like he is so different from Kat, like who's like always berating Freddie, right? And her mom tells Kat like on the side that she and Freddie remind her of like she and her husband back in the day. And Kat says that she felt the same way too. And so it's kind of like, okay, well, are they getting married or not? Damn it. Kat starts talking about being worried about Freddie saying no at the altar, but it's like up until now, Kat, you've been acting like you're going to say no, that his past defines him and that you don't want to be with him. So like, what is this? I'm getting dizzy from like the whiplash of like the way she's changing, like, right? Anyway, speaking of whiplash, let's get into the way that Jasmine's like mother interrogated the crap out of Bobby. Like she was so much. She grills him for not having a university education. She says it can be difficult to communicate with a non-educated person. Guys, like the way my jaw dropped. I'm like, there's a difference between not having like a university education and just being straight up ignorant and like, this type of stuff. Like, whoo, like that was a really nasty comment on her part. she talks about how she's been through 2 divorces, so she's extra protective of Jasmine. So it's like you're condescending about people's education and this and that, and the other. Meanwhile, like, you know, who's looking for these educational things, this, that, and the other, you still got divorced twice. Now what? Now what? You know what I mean? Like, girl, get over yourself. I know you're trying to protect her, but like, you're being very hostile. And to be honest, Jasmine, I really like you, but I see where your hostility comes from, because Lord have mercy. Now, Jasmine's mom then kind of mocks Bobby when he talks about how he can afford living in London. He's like, oh, so where are you guys gonna live? You live far. He's like, oh, like we're gonna be in London. And she's like, London's expensive. He's like, I can afford it. And she's like, you know, because I guess, you know, if you didn't go to university, you're broke in her mind, you know, but we can't like fault her too much. She's from a different country and she's also from a different generation, and things are just different, right? In different places. So I think she means well. And again, people communicate differently in different cultures. So what is abrasive and like really harsh to you and I is not necessarily that to someone else, right? Or at least it's not their intention. Then he talks about them eventually potentially moving abroad as well. And the mom's like, no, Jasmine's not moving abroad because Jasmine's my best friend. Okay. We're like sisters, Jasmine and I. And Jasmine has to tell me everything. So she's not moving abroad. And I was like, girl, didn't you just come here from the Philippines? Like, weren't you abroad? Like, did you have Jasmine's permission to go away? Like, what is this? Like, boundaries, mom. Boundaries. Okay. And then she just starts talking about how Jasmine has to tell her everything, every detail about her relationship with Bobby. Like, the mom must know. And Jasmine's like, okay, like if we fight over the dishes or something, I'm not going to tell you. The mom's like, yeah, you have to tell me. You're my best friend. Girl, get a life. Get a life. It's like this woman wants Jasmine to be her wife, essentially. Like, just weird vibes all around. I am really glad that Jasmine set some boundaries around what parts of her marriage she's willing to share with her mom. And I'm still really creeped out that the mom literally said that Jasmine is not allowed to keep any secrets, you know, any aspect of her relationship secret from her. Like, okay, you know what? You are going to very quickly usher your daughter into 2, 3, 4, 5 divorces, you know, at this rate. Like, you are very, very toxic. It's now, anyway, you guys, it's finally time to try on the dresses and the tuxedos. Like, finally. I'm getting ready to show you the dresses. Okay, you guys, like, sorry, I don't know what is up with my computer today, but it's feeling very overwhelmed. I think it's the heat. It's overheating. So I got to get off this soon. And this is a very long stream. So let me see how these pop up. So this is Sabrina's dress, you guys. I got to say, I did love Sabrina's dress on her. It's nice and flowy for her. And it just suits her vibe. And I was kind of disappointed when I saw the previews that she got rid of her bangs. I think her bangs are so cute and so her. So I was kind of sad that she got rid of them. Demi's dress, I love like the color here on her. I think it's very beautiful. And I like it overall for her as well. Let me zoom in a little bit more for Sabrina's dress so you guys can see. It's like very beach wedding dress kind of thing, you know? And then this dress on Jasmine, I thought it was okay. I think it could be tailored a little bit better. So hopefully when they get the tailoring together, it's going to look good on her. I unfortunately did not like Nicole's dress at all. I feel like it's the same dress I've been seeing on every bride for the past like 5, 6 years. This dress was my favorite. I felt like Kat's dress totally took my breath away. It fit her like a glove and it's absolutely stunning. And then this is not a great picture of Maria's dress, but Maria's dress was another one that was absolutely stunning on her. And she just looks so good in gold jewelry. So voila, those are the dresses that we are going to be seeing walk down the aisle, all styled up and everything like that. And then Nicole, actually, I forgot to mention you guys, but she made this really weird comment, like about how she never like wanted to get married again or something like that. And I was like, girl, if you never wanted to get married again, then what did you sign up to do Love is Blind for? Like, this is literally a show about like getting married as quickly as possible to somebody you've never even seen before. So it didn't make any sense to me. I genuinely did not understand that comment. I felt like it was rather weird, but listen, maybe it's just in nerves. I'm not sure. Now, speaking of nerves, Freddie is getting really nervous about the idea of marrying Kat due to her explosive temper, and I do not blame him. But in terms of couples that are 100% sure, it looks like Sabrina and Steven are 100% sure, and I'm glad because I love them together. And Nicole and Benaya, another couple that I'm really happy about because I love them together. Now, on Catherine's side, she says that she's 100% wanting to marry Freddie, but we'll see. I really just don't know. Anyway, after that, the couples have their final dates, but I never really care for those in any like country. Like I find them boring. And in this season, like nothing really happened, no explosive fights. Everyone got along swimmingly. So we'll have to wait. I think it's until the 21st for the last set of episodes to drop so we can see these weddings, who gets married and who does not. Let me know, you guys, what you thought about all these episodes in the comment section down below. Thank you so much for bearing with me for this long recap. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know what you thought in the comment section down below, and as usual, we'll chat. That's all for now. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye, guys.